Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to another YouTube video on the channel. And today guys, here we are to do our AFL 2022 match reviews. Now as you guys know, there'll be no 3-game match reviews during finals because we're doing every game of the round. Well, of the week I guess. Every single game. So there'll be 4 reviews coming out this week. One for each game because that is what I've decided to go with. So I'll be reviewing every single game. But before we go ahead and do that, I just want to give you a quick note that I am sick while recording this. I'm going okay so far, feeling a bit better and well enough to do this for you guys. But just so you know, heads up that in the next couple of videos, I'll probably still not be back to my best. Let's go ahead, hop right into things. Brisbane versus Richmond, the first elimination final at the Gabba, Thursday night match review. So, Thursday night footy returns as final starts off with a bang. Lots of different lead changes in this game between Brisbane and Richmond. And Brisbane end up winning by 2, 16-10, 106 to Richmond's 16-8, 104. And it was a really good contest between these two sides. Such a cracking contest. Such a brilliant elimination final. I thought that we were going to get a cracker of a game. I said Richmond by 12. But in the end, that didn't end up happening. But Richmond did lead for most of it. But their inability to play when the moment counted cost them in the end, because they had a chance to run it up the other end to get a goal in that last 40 or so seconds, but they just didn't make the most of their time. They didn't know how much time was left on the clock, I believe, which is what cost them. Tom Lynch with the MRO decision. That's a 50-50 call, really. I think the goal umpire called it as a goal, so that one's going to be talked about a lot, which, to be completely honest, I really don't know as to which side I sit on that one. But, wow, what a game of footy it was. Richmond, they owned the first quarter, Richmond, before Brisbane came back, the last 2 goals of the quarter to be equal at quarter time. In the second quarter, interesting game. Brisbane and Richmond, they both started to get some leads, but yes, Brisbane had a pretty comfortable, at least on this graph, at half-time. It was only 6 points or a goal. In the third quarter, that was where the high scoring came. 5 goals each for each side, and of course Richmond kept the same. They led by 5. And then the last quarter, the scoring did dry out. Brisbane kicked 3 goals, 2 goals for Richmond, but Brisbane in the end did finish the better of the sides. They ended up winning by 2 points in the end to go ahead and play the loser of Friday night's game between Melbourne and Sydney. Of course, it'll be away for Brisbane. They wouldn't really want it to be at the MCG, especially against a good side like Melbourne, but playing Sydney at the SCG would be very tough as well. I think, look, now that Richmond are out, Richmond were the team that was going to... It was going to be any team that's going to make it to the grand final or deep into finals from 6, 7 or 8. It was going to be Richmond. But now that they're out, I don't see Brisbane going through any more than a semi. I think they'll get out next week. But yeah, Richmond in this game just didn't play well enough. But it was a cracking contest. We got a good game. We got a ripping game. Lachie Neale, he could win another Brownlow. 39 disposals. He's done it a lot this year. And his ability to step up, be so cool under pressure. Oh, Lachie Neale, he's an absolute beast. I actually haven't really talked about him a lot this year. I think his work can go a little bit unnoticed sometimes. It's not like he kicks goals, but the work that he does, if you actually go back and highlight what he does, you can see how important he is. He wins centre clearances as well. Hugh McCluggage, Dan McStay, Caden Coleman with the 6 tackles. Tom Lynch, Charlie Cameron, Eric Hipwood, Jack Revolt, Joe Danaher, all with 3 goals in a very high-scoring, seesawing contest at the Gabba. 123 fantasy for Toby Nankervis. Now, of course, as we always do, going to go to the player stats. So here we are at the player stats, and before we go ahead and start the player stats, no Cam Rayner for Brisbane as well, so that made things even harder. And they still managed to step up to the moment and do it. 123 fantasy for Nankervis, 120 for McCluggage, 111 for McStay, 107 for Neale. Now to the goals and behinds we go. 3 for Lynch, Cameron, Hipwood, Revolt and Danaher. 2 for Bolton. So those are some of the big players. 1 goal, 2 for Archie. So we did end up getting his chances as being the medical substitute as Oscar McInerney went off. And Dion Prestia, he really managed to steady the ship for Richmond when Brisbane had momentum. He was the one that ended up getting subbed out in the end, and then Shane Edwards came on. 39 disposals for Neil, by far the most. He had the most disposals by a fair way on the ground. 39 for Neil, 26 for McCluggage and Ian Curvis. Those were the next two closest people to Lockie Neal. Just goes to show the form that he's in, and a 72 disposal efficiency from 39 disposals isn't too bad either. 2 marks, 3 tackles. Really good performance by Lockie Neal. 24 disposals for Bailey, 23 for McStay, Ross and Pickett. Now to the marks, 9 for Lynch. He got his hands on some things. 8 for Zorko, Vlosten and Ross. 7 for Short. Now to the tackles, 6 for McCluggage, Coleman and McStay. 5 for McIntosh and Pickett. Now the hit-outs, where Toby Nankervis, he was all over Brisbane as, of course, Oscar McInerney went out. No Darcy Fort as a backup ruckman, because it is a risk using Darcy Fort as a medical substitute. Because what if, say, for example, a Cameron goes out, then you've got no cover as a small forward. But if McInerney does go out, then you do have him there. So it's a risk. It's something that you don't see a lot of teams. Fagan has done that this year, though, where he has put Fort as a medical substitute, which he would have wished that would have happened this game. But you don't know when. You don't know who's going to go out. You don't know how things are going to work. You don't know who's going to get subbed off, if anyone will. So 41 hit-outs for Nankervis, 14 for Miller, 10 for McStay, 3 for Danaher, 2 for McInerney, 1 for Hipwood. Of course, Miller was Richmond's second ruck, but Nankervis was just all over Brisbane. Disposals, very close, but the inside 50 count, 59-63. Both teams got their chances. It was a really cracking game, though. High scoring. Don't you love to see that kind of stuff? Free kicks, 22-18. I reckon some controversial calls with the free kicks. Definitely some controversial calls, but of course, that's what you're going to get. 16-55 hit-outs, which resulted in 12-19 centre clearances. So the hit-outs went in Richmond's favour. So did the centre clearances, +7 for Richmond, as they had Nankervis, who was a big advantage in the ruck, because it was going to be Nankervis versus McStay quite often. And of course, you can see who has the jump on the other one. So Nankervis did end up winning a fair few centre clearances on his own, because McStay's not used to that role. But then the stoppage clearances was Brisbane by +13. That's a big differential there. And then marks, 64-88 in favour of Richmond. 8-17 more marks for Richmond inside 50. 5-15 more contested marks for Richmond as well. So they took way more marks. They led for most of the game, did Richmond. But the thing is, their biggest lead was 16. Brisbane's biggest lead was 7. The thing is that every time Richmond did kick a goal, Brisbane always managed to bring it back in the game. They always managed to not get themselves out of this one at all. And they were so strong to keep themselves in it. And as a result, they finally overturned their horrendous final streak, and they get a big win on a big stage. Thursday night, Gabba elimination final. They get a massive win. So, of course, with that means Richmond are now out of the competition. They will no longer be in it. Brisbane, they're through to a semi-final, an away semi-final versus the loser of Melbourne versus Sydney, which, while we're at it, Melbourne versus Sydney, massive Friday night contest at the MCG. Is there a chance that Sydney upset? Of course, the winner goes through to a home preliminary final. The loser will play Brisbane in a home semi-final. So either way for Brisbane, it will be tough from here on. But two very good teams going head-to-head Friday night. Saturday footy, I reckon this could be the biggest day. Geelong Collingwood packed out MCG for this one. This is going to be a cracking game, Geelong Collingwood. I feel like you can never write off Collingwood. You can never write off Collingwood. You can never write them off. The thing is, I reckon the words to describe Collingwood this has been somehow they just keep on doing it. They somehow find a way to win, and they've somehow found a way to go in the top 4. And if they win, this would be the biggest win of the year. The Cats, they're on a 13-game winning streak, though. Do not forget that. So two very quality opponents going head-to-head Saturday twilight MCG. Before Saturday night, I think it's a packed-out Optus Stadium as well to see Fremantle make their first finals appearance since 2015 versus the Western Bulldogs, the 8th place Western Bulldogs, who are travelling to Perth. They want to make a statement, though, and the Doggies, it is possible for them, but it's going to be tough. So that is the rest of the finals action. Brisbane beat Richmond by 2 in the first game. It was a ripper game. Of course, I'll be doing singular reviews for all these games. There'll be a review for Melbourne, Sydney, Geelong, Collingwood, and Fremantle versus Western Bulldogs. So thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so then you guys will never miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys all so much for watching. So bye everyone, Flaming Footy out.